Oregon is going to the Final Four.
The following is a Learfield presentation of the Oregon Sports Network.
And Oregon is going to play in the national championship game.
This is Duck Insider.
We need to get community. We need this thing to be bigger than just our little circle of players and coaches.
Are you kidding me? Touchdown, Oregon.
With 2 seconds on the clock. He hits it!
That's the bigger picture in this thing, allowing the community to celebrate the hard work, blue-collar mentality this group brings to the table.
And the Ducks have won it. The Ducks have won.
We get to struggle together, and we get to have joy together.
The Ducks are Pac-12 champions.
I am so proud right now to be the head coach at Oregon.
Oregon's a Fiesta Bowl champion in a 12-win season.
This is Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield, presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Now let's go live to the Country Financial Studio to talk Oregon Duck Athletics.
Welcome inside the Country Financial Studio. It's a new week in Oregon athletics, and we're going to go through this show faster than Jaden Mays in the 200 because there is so much to talk about. First off, the game last night was tremendous from the professional perspective. It was a whole bunch of big plays being made by former Ducks on the 49ers side, but ultimately Oregon's head coach for the football team, Dan Lanning, left Allegiant Stadium pretty happy with a Chiefs victory. That was a big game, but it wasn't the only thing going on in Oregon athletics over the weekend. Men's basketball played at Matthew Knight Arena against the Washington schools. Women's basketball went on the road to play the Mountain schools for the second time in 3 weeks. And then there were season openers for not one, not two, not three, but 4 different Oregon sports. Yes, Oregon softball got their season going in Clearwater, Florida. Knight Uretsky, the voice of the softball team, will join the show coming up later in the hour. Also, Oregon acrobatics and tumbling. They got their season kicked off at Matthew Knight Arena against Hawaii Pacific on Saturday. Oregon lacrosse. Jess Drummond gets her first win as a coach of the Oregon Ducks. That came earlier in the weekend. And men's golf also kicked off their season over the weekend. A whole lot to talk about on today's show, not even to mention track and field and women's golf still going through their season. In fact, women's golf currently on the course right now for their second match of the year. So if you want to keep up with Oregon women's golf, just follow along on socials. All the links are there for you to follow the Oregon women's golf team and their endeavors throughout the day and as we move forward throughout the week. But first, let's start over the weekend against the Washington schools. Joey broke down the win against Washington for Oregon men's basketball that the Ducks got on Thursday. Then Oregon came in to play Washington State on Saturday at Matthew Knight Arena. The Ducks ended up dropping this game by a final score of 62-56. And, well, that 62 number for Washington State, if you ask Dana Altman for pretty much any other game this season, he likes that 62 number. And, in fact, Oregon played tremendously defensively. That 80 number threshold has been the one that Dana Altman's been talking about throughout the course of the season. You hold the team to 62, especially in a big game like this one that it was for Oregon and Washington State. You kind of expect for Oregon's offense to play well enough to win that game. Unfortunately for the Ducks, shot just wasn't falling. And the shot needed to fall because this was a big and critical game for Oregon on Saturday. Coming in, both teams tied in the Pac-12 standings for second place in the conference going into this battle. Both teams right on the bubble of the March Madness tournament. Washington State came in just a smidge ahead of Oregon in most bracketology rankings. So it was a big game for the Ducks, a chance to leapfrog Washington State and a chance to secure themselves as one of the top 2 teams in the Pac-12 conference as they continue to move forward through the back half of the second half of conference schedule on the march towards Vegas. But what actually happened in this game? It was a tough game throughout, and it felt like every single shot was a big shot, especially because Washington State got the lead early, and it felt like Oregon continued to press right up against that threshold to get right back to tied or down 2, and then Washington State would go on a run, and then here comes Oregon right again to push right up against that threshold, and at every single shot, it felt like either team could make a run and shift momentum based on just what was happening throughout the game. But it really did feel like the Ducks were just kind of punching up against that glass ceiling and couldn't quite break through. It was a close game at the half. The Ducks, even early in the second half, were able to get ahead for, well, by 2 points for a short period of time, but the Ducks couldn't hold on to that lead. It was the first time Oregon had taken the lead, and it looked like Oregon was going to go on that run. This was the time for the Ducks to sustain that momentum, but right after, Washington State answered with a 9-0 run of their own, and then it was the same thing where Oregon kept creeping back up. Washington State kept sustaining their lead. Neither team could really hold momentum throughout, and there were a few key statistics in this game that shifted the way of the Cougars and against the Ducks that really made the difference in the ballgame. Oregon shot just 36% from the field, 22% from three. That's not a good enough clip to win a game against a team like Washington State that had come in shooting gangbusters from outside. And, well, the free throw line, too, it wasn't good enough. 8 of 14, 57% from the line. Dana Altman talked all about that. We'll get to that in just 1 second. Some individual statistics in this ball game for the Ducks. Jermaine Couisnard, he had 16 points, 7 of 17 from the field, 2 of 5 from deep. He was efficient in this ball game, and he did play physical, and he played hard offensively, but down the stretch, he ended up fouling out of this game late. Also, N'Faly Dante, this was the star of the game for Oregon. 15 points, 6 of 10 from the field, 13 rebounds, 5 of them were offensive rebounds. Those were extra possessions, just going right back to the Ducks. And then look at the defensive numbers, too. 3 blocks, 4 steals for N'Faly Dante. Yeah, he was all over the place. Dana Altman, he was certainly happy with N'Faly Dante, but there was a lot to clean up from a few other players and the team as a whole throughout this ballgame. Dana Altman, he came and met with the media post-game, and here were his thoughts after the loss against Washington State on Saturday.
Really the wrong night to shoot 22% from three and miss that many free throws?
Yeah, the free throws, in a tight game like that when you're not shooting the ball, we went 8 for 14 with 2 front ends. You go 18 for 16 or 8 for 16, that kills you. They didn't shoot them great, 15 and 22, but they got the big rebound on the one they missed late. We didn't give ourselves an opportunity, made a lot of mistakes, and just simply didn't get it done.
Looking at the box score walking in, what jumped out at you?
Well, not finishing shots in the second half, but I just didn't think we penetrated and made plays for each other. We took some off-balance ones. Guys panicked a little bit, trying to win it on their own. But again, the free throws in a low-scoring game like this, possession by possession, you get to the free throw line, you got to go, and you can't shoot 50% on a night, where it's a 2-possession game. So free throws hadn't cost us for a while, but they sure cost us today.
Do you feel like you guys gave Dante enough touches?
No, absolutely not. Well, how many times we turn it over trying to throw it into him? Just poor decisions. Jermaine throws it, Brennan, we didn't. Obviously, he's the one guy who was 6 for 10, over 50%. We got to get him more shots. And to answer your question, I didn't think we got him enough looks. I thought, he missed a couple, which made him a little less aggressive. But, the turnovers, we just got to be better than that. We ought to be able to get it to him. He's got him posted up, and Jermaine makes a bad read, throws it to the wrong hand. Brennan misses him on one to throw over, hits the rim. We got to be able to make some plays.
Coach, what was your plan for Miles Rice coming in, and how did you think kind of that works going?
Well, he's really good. I thought he's 6 for 15, so I thought, but he gets the free throw line 11 times, and that's, where he beat us, 8 for 11, in the last one there, So, again, 6 for 15 is not going to beat you, but 8 for 11 gets the free throw line 11 times, big part of it.
Just walk through the strategy there. After Jermaine hits the 3, I understand keeping him in over Jackson from a defensive standpoint, but because of the fouls, to play it out and try not to foul, but then Jermaine commits the 5th. Just the thought of keeping him in with 4 fouls in that spot, and any thought going the other way.
We needed his size in there. You just hit the 3. I wasn't going to take him out. So, he happened to foul, but they hit the free throws, or, you know. So, no, hey, he gives us a chance. Jackson hadn't shot it worth a darn, so I went with him.
Like you saw from the starting lineup with Kwame back in there tonight?
He did some good things. He did some things. I liked his rebounding numbers, but, his ball movement, I thought he had some opportunities to get it inside, and he missed. And he gave Jones his left shoulder a couple times. So he did some good things, but again, when you lose a game like that, you don't hit free throws, you don't hit any shots. Like I said, I thought our ball movement at times and some of the shot selections were not good.
How does the mental aspect of this loss? It's a pretty big one.
Oh yeah. No. It's going to be tough bouncing back. It'll test our. Like I said, you're judged by how you handle adversity. So we knew we needed this one. It wasn't no big secret. They're ahead of us in the net and tied with us in the standings. We knew we needed it. And they come in here winning 7 of 8. We knew they were playing really well. We knew we were going to have to play well. And we didn't play well enough to win.
Do you like the fact that moving forward you have like a whole week to prepare to work on things, or would you rather have a game quickly to kind of get this out?
No, we need some time. We're making too many mistakes. And, again, I don't know if a week's practice is enough, but we're going to have to get a lot better in a lot of aspects of the game.
What is the most frustrating aspect for you at this point? You've talked a lot about mistakes the last 2 games.
Well, it varies from game to game. We had a high percentage of assists on our baskets the other night against Washington. Tonight we have 9 assists. I didn't think our ball movement was what it should have been. The free throws, obviously, we shot free throws 75, 76% the other night. It'd sure been nice to shoot them 75, 76% tonight. It would have been a lot different game. So, it varies from game to game. We still made some communication mistakes and gave up some easy baskets, which really disappointing. So at this particular time in the year.
Jackson had a couple of mismatches where their big came out to the perimeter. Usually it seems like an experienced guard would kind of attack them on the perimeter. What do you feel like Jackson's confidence is right now with his ball playing? Well,
it's probably not real good. I mean, he had a tough couple of games offensively here, but the first couple times he did penetrate in there and made some plays. We missed some shots. He had 4 assists, didn't have any turnovers. He did some good things. But, like any freshman, shot doesn't go in. He had a couple really good looks at 15 feet that he usually hits. He didn't go in. And so I'm sure, he didn't shoot it well against Washington. So, that bothers any player.
Some of the rotation right now, Dana, in part, the accountability like you talked about, and because everything has to be a must-win, that you don't have the luxury of it, that you can't afford to put certain guys out there in certain spots if those mistakes are going to be made. If you have to ride 5 guys, and so be it, you got to ride 5 guys. That's just the way it's got to be.
We've got 8 guys, and Gabe and Coop, we could play a little bit, but we don't have the guard rotation without Key, and we don't have the big rotation without Nate. So we got those 8 guys, and that's what we got. So we're just going to have to make it work.
2 more.
You feel like Nate was close to being able to play for us? Do you think you expect him back next week?
He really felt bad today, so he wasn't even able to come to the game. So.
How much mileage is Dante putting on himself? Because there's some series out there where it looks like he's closing out the guy on the line, he's diving on the ball from the floor, he's making passes from the floor. Like, I know he's about 3 or 4 weeks back from this, but like where is his conditioning level now, considering all he does out in the court?
They beat on him. I got absolutely no complaints about N'Faly Dante. I mean, you mentioned on the floor, going after boards. The 35 minutes he played, 34 and a half, he played hard. I got no complaints. But 13 boards. I mean, like I said, we didn't throw him the ball enough, and he got tired. But, you know, we took him out for a couple series, and it didn't go very good. So I feel bad for him because I wish everybody played as hard and it was committed like he is, because I got no complaints about him, none. He was trying to get the guys ready before the game. That diving on the ball in the first set, right across from our bench. We had a couple guys that could have went down and got it, and they just stood there and looked at it, and he went. So our guys could take a little lesson from him. That's for dang sure.
That's Coach Dana Altman talking about the game with a lot of high praise for N'Faly Dante. That is one of our Willamette Valley Cancer Institute and Research Center head coach interviews Fight Like a Duck with exceptional cancer care close to home. All right, we just heard Dana Altman with some high praise from the big man N'Faly Dante. We got to get to a timeout, but when we come back, N'Faly Dante actually spoke with the media after Dana Altman did. So after this timeout, we will talk to the Center for Oregon Basketball. You're listening to Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by our local branch today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
Hey Duck fans, we're all about protecting our home turf here in Eugene. You should do the same for your home with Country Financial Insurance. Most home insurance doesn't account for inflation, but with Country Financial, yours can. If something happens to your home, make sure you can rebuild the same house in the same place. Call a local representative or 866-COUNTRY and get a solid defense for your home. Home insurance policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Casualty Insurance Company, or Country Preferred Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois. Property must meet age and condition requirements, which vary by state.
Don't go anywhere. Duck Insider continues after these messages on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
When might you be buzzed? When you suddenly love everything.
You guys, I love this song. I love these nachos. I love our kickball league. Ugh! I love this guy. What's your name? You know what I'd love? A ride when it's time to head out.
If you see a buzzed warning sign, call for a ride when it's time to go home. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
I love your car. Is this real leather?
When you're high, you feel different. You think different, you talk different, you draw different, you listen to music different, but you probably knew that. Problem is, you also drive different, and not in a good way. That's why driving high is illegal everywhere. So if you're high, just don't drive. Make a plan to get a sober ride. Because if you feel different, you drive different. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Back here in the Country Financial Studio on Duck Insider, brought to you by OnPoint Community Credit Union. I'm Ryan Milano, holding it down for the day on Duck Insider. We just talked with Dana Altman on the program, and he had some high praise for his center, N'Faly Dante. The stat line for Dante, 15 points. He went 6 of 10 from the field. He had 13 rebounds, 5 of them offensive boards to earn new possessions for the Ducks, and then he had 7 defensive stat column contributions with 3 blocks and 4 steals. And Oregon likes to track deflections. The coaches do. I haven't seen the deflections numbers, but just watching the game, it felt like there might have been even more than that. N'Faly Dante was everywhere. He was getting down on the floor for some loose balls. He was passing from his back. It was N'Faly Dante playing a really strong game against Washington State, trying to will Oregon to a crucial victory, one that Oregon didn't get on Saturday against Wazoo. N'Faly Dante talking to the media after the game. Here is the center, N'Faly Dante.
How are you feeling playing 34 minutes and having this tough loss at home?
What?
How are you feeling after playing 34 minutes in this tough loss?
Feel all right. think I had a lot of work to do to get in better shape to be available for my team, and then I think I could do more.
Dennis said that you're one of the few people on this team who's constantly working really hard and trying to bring out more from your other teammates. Does it ever get frustrating for you to have these results go the way that they are?
Actually, I cannot say I was the only one playing hard. I think everybody was playing hard, but we just didn't connect as a team for the moment that we need. So, like I said, I tell them we just got to lock in since the start. So, I just think I should step up more to talk to them individually to connect and play together.
What's missing? What's preventing you guys from connecting?
Man, no scouting report and know who's driving, who's shooting better. And me personally, I think I should not let number 45 document sometimes. So it's all of us, we still have more work to do.
You guys have 7 days before your next game. What's the biggest thing you think you guys need to improve on as a team between now and next Saturday?
I'm gonna start with me, get in the shape, do more running, and be available, and try to do little things to help the team. And I know those guys pace, and we just gotta pick it up as a team and do every little thing to help each other. Yeah.
Anything else?
It's not many guys in this league that kind of, pack on that size and can bang with you in the paint like that. You get up for games like that when you know that they have a big, kind of your size?
I mean, yeah, I'm always ready for it, Either it's a big or someone, they just try to take me out. So I just gotta get ready for it. Sometimes I don't even think about it. I just want to do everything I can to help my team to win. That's all.
Is there anything coach can do at this point, or is it on the players to connect?
Well, I don't think it's anything coach fault. If we don't connect, I mean, that's a big problem right there. It's us. I mean, because this sport, it's not the one playing in the core. I think we should have more communication and cut those little mistakes away.
You've been on a lot of different forms of this team over the years, obviously a ton of different teammates and things like that. How close do you feel like you guys are sort of there to being where you need to be at this point in the year?
Can you repeat that again? Sorry.
You've seen so many of these different teams. How close do you feel like this team right now is where you guys need to be, this time of the year?
I think we there. We can just not be connected to a moment like this. For example, I was supposed to switch to someone. I did not switch it. So, I should just call out. Especially we played each other for how many months? 4 or 5, whatever it is. So I think we're in a good shape. We just gotta communicate better. That's all. But everybody like each other, and then everybody want the best for each other. So.
That's N'Faly Dante breaking down the game after Saturday's loss to Washington State for Oregon. It drops the Ducks down to 61st in the net rankings, and now where we sit in the middle of February, it's an uphill battle for Oregon if they want to get that large bid into the NCAA tournament. Oregon's probably going to have to win a lot, maybe all of the games in the regular season. There's a lot moving forward for Oregon. It was a crucial game on Saturday, and Ducks didn't get the job done on the basketball court to get the win over Washington State, and now the math gets a little bit wonky for Oregon as we continue to move forward. We are going to transition to the weekend that was for Oregon women's basketball as they went on the road to play the Mountain Schools for the second time in 3 weeks. Colorado and Utah both on the schedule for Oregon over the weekend, and the Ducks battled against the Mountain Schools. We'll break it all down next on Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Dear winter, Toyota can't get enough of you because Toyota's got 22 vehicles with available all-wheel drive and four-wheel drive, and that's more than any other auto brand. So you bring the action and we'll bring the traction. Always Toyota. Toyota, let's go places.
Based on manufacturer's websites as of 11/21/23.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by our local branch today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
Dear winter, Toyota can't get enough of you because Toyota's got 22 vehicles with available all-wheel drive and four-wheel drive, and that's more than any other auto brand. So you bring the action and we'll bring the traction. Always Toyota. Toyota, let's go places.
Based on manufacturer's websites as of 11/21/23.
Duck Insider, Duck Insider, Duck Insider continues after this timeout on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Sometimes I just cannot believe all the storms we've gone through here.
I can only hope that we'll be able to leave this house to you one day, baby. You're our legacy.
Planning for these disasters will make sure we're safe, and is the best way to protect that legacy.
Protect your legacy. Visit ready.gov/plan for the tools and tips you need to start your emergency preparedness plan today. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Hi, I'm Danica Patrick. Watching my nieces grow, play, and learn is amazing, but not every child gets to be carefree. 1 in 6 kids in the U.S. are hungry. This breaks my heart, and it's something that Feeding America is working to change. Each year, the Feeding America network of food banks rescues billions of pounds of good food that would have gone to waste and gives it to families in need. To help, visit feedingamerica.org.
Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to Duck Insider, brought to you by OnPoint Community Credit Union here in the Country Financial Studio. We just talked about Oregon men's basketball weekend against the Washington schools. Now we'll talk about Oregon women's basketball and their weekend against Colorado and Utah. It was a pair of losses for the Ducks against the Mountain schools this weekend, and it wasn't a great game on Friday, but a more competitive one came on Sunday. Before the Super Bowl, it was a tip-off Mountain time that it worked great for me. I watched Oregon women's basketball, had about an hour to prep for my Super Bowl plans, and then watched the Super Bowl. Great day. But Oregon women's basketball, they came in against Utah, a team that they played very competitive at Matthew Knight Arena the first time these teams met up just a few weeks back, and Oregon changed a few things up. First off, Ula Chamberlain entered into the starting lineup for the first time, and I thought she played really well. Ula provided a new element to Oregon where she was able to handle the basketball, allowed Chance Gray to play off the ball a little bit more, and Ula Chamberlain converted. She had 6 points in the ball game, and there were a few times where she was running the offense, and it really worked with Ula at the helm. So a nice insertion into the starting lineup by Coach Kelly Graves, but it was Utah who was able to control a lot of the first half due to their three-point shooting. It was a Utes team that likes to shoot the three ball and did shoot the three ball. And, well, for Oregon, and you'll hear Coach Graves mention it in a second, but the Ducks, if they would have limited Utah to one shot on those three balls, Utah wasn't making a lot of them. It was the second effort, in particular the second effort three-pointers, that really burnt the Ducks in the first half. But Oregon wasn't out of the game. They went into the break down 12, but the Ducks went on the necessary run that they had to go on to get themselves back into the game in the third quarter. With about 4 minutes left in the third quarter, the Ducks had cut the lead to 4. So Oregon came out swinging, they came out fighting, and they were able to operate against Utah. And similarly to Oregon men's basketball, where N'Faly Dante was the facilitator in the middle and the game wrecker in the middle, Philly Che was facilitating and game-wrecking in the middle for Oregon against Utah, and it's the second time that Philly Che has been matched up against Alyssa Peely, and both times Philly Che has gotten the better of the reigning Pac-12 Player of the Year in Alyssa Peely. It seemed like Peely had a lot of trouble on the interior against Che, but then ultimately after Oregon cut that lead to 4, Utah started making their threes once again and ended up ballooning the lead out for the Utes in order for them to get the victory. Some individual stats in the ball game. Grace Van Sluten had 14 points, 3 rebounds, and 3 assists for the Ducks. And then Philly Che, another double-double for Philly. It's almost clockwork at this point. She has been so excellent in the middle for Oregon women's basketball. 15 points, 12 boards, and 4 assists for Philly. So not only doing it in the scoring column, not only doing it on the boards, but also doing it with her facilitating when Oregon likes to bring her out around the perimeter and utilize her in the high post. Yeah, she was everywhere in this ball game. Kelly Graves, after the game, talked with Chris Clayton in his reactions immediately post-game on the loss against Utah. Here's KG.
Well, Utah is really good at home. You were battling this team throughout until really that fourth quarter. What do you think was the difference?
Well, we died a little bit in the fourth quarter. I thought, just in the first half, it was the same thing, that we've struggled with all year long. Points off turnovers and second chance points. They outscored us in those two areas 28-4. And with 14 extra shots in the first half, it was just hard to it's hard to make up that kind of ground, but I thought, and then quite frankly, they won pretty much every 50-50 ball. I thought the third quarter we came out and played with a little bit more intensity. We got on the floor after loose balls. The rebounding was better. Offensively, we were executing pretty well. And then, like you said, the fourth quarter, you guys, we keep fighting, and we just got to get more production out of more players. I mean, you can't expect to win in this conference scoring 46, 48 points. You can't do that. You're not going to win games in the 40s. So, but listen, this is a tough trip. This is a 5th straight game against the top 20 opponent, and out of our 12 league games, 9 have been against top 25 teams. We're just not there. I mean, that's just the honest truth. We're not there. I think we're better than we're showing, perhaps, but in the games where we haven't played the top 25, we're 2-1. But and it doesn't change next week. We got the LAs coming into town, so we can't feel sorry for ourselves. We got to keep getting back up, and I know it's getting tougher and tougher for these kids to do that, but we just got to find a way. And I'm going to go in there and talk to them about how proud I am of them. And but the bottom line is, for us to expect to win, we've just got to play better. I mean, that's just the bottom line. We've got to play better, and especially in those two areas: points off turnovers and second chance points.
Yep. Back on the horse next weekend against USC and UCLA. Thanks for your time, Coach.
Okay, yeah, you got it, you guys.
That is Coach Kelly Graves meeting up with Chris Clayton after the game with some of his reactions for Oregon women's basketball after the loss against Utah. It's still a torrid stretch for Oregon women's basketball in terms of their schedule that they have to go through. That was the 5th of 7 consecutive games that the Ducks have played against top 20 opponents, and it's going to be even more. The LA schools come up to Eugene this weekend on February 16th. On Friday, it's going to be USC, that game at 7 o'clock, and then on Sunday at 2 o'clock, it's UCLA coming to town. Both of those teams, top 25 teams. So Oregon continuing to work their way through what is a very difficult conference stretch, and the Ducks still battling in conference play. We're going to take a timeout, and when we come back, it is the opening weekend for Oregon softball. At least it was last weekend. The Ducks down in Clearwater, Florida. So was Knight Uretsky. He's joining the show to break it all down next on Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Dear winter, Toyota can't get enough of you because Toyota's got 22 vehicles with available all-wheel drive and four-wheel drive, and that's more than any other auto brand. So you bring the action and we'll bring the traction. Always Toyota. Toyota, let's go places.
Based on manufacturer's websites as of 11/21/23.
Hey Duck fans, we're all about protecting our home turf here in Eugene. You should do the same for your home with Country Financial Insurance. Most home insurance doesn't account for inflation, but with Country Financial, yours can. If something happens to your home, make sure you can rebuild the same house in the same place. Call a local representative or 866-COUNTRY and get a solid defense for your home. Home insurance policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Casualty Insurance Company, or Country Preferred Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois. Property must meet age and condition requirements, which vary by state.
Dear winter, Toyota can't get enough of you because Toyota's got 22 vehicles with available all-wheel drive and four-wheel drive, and that's more than any other auto brand. So you bring the action and we'll bring the traction. Always Toyota. Toyota, let's go places.
Based on manufacturer's websites as of 11/21/23.
Don't go anywhere. Duck Insider continues after these messages on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
You took the first step and quit smoking. But even former smokers may still be at risk for lung cancer. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know about a new low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early. It takes only 60 seconds and could save your life. You took the first step, now take the next. Visit SaveByTheScan.org for a simple quiz to see if you're eligible and talk to your doctor about screening. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
My simple solution to the problem was remove people from the scene and help them feel safer.
In response to attacks against Asian Americans, Maddie Park raised over $250,000 to donate cab rides to the Asian community.
There is so much more work to be done. We really need to come together and tackle this issue as a community.
Support the Asian community. Learn how at lovehasnolabels.com. Brought to you by Love Has No Labels and the Ad Council.
We're back on Duck Insider here in the Country Financial Studio. Duck Insider brought to you by OnPoint Community Credit Union. Ryan Milano here, and so is Knight Uretsky, my friend. Knight, this is the first time we're actually interacting on this network, on Duck Insider, on the Oregon Sports Network. We worked so long together at KWVA, but now we've graduated. It's a new medium now.
Yep. I know we're on to the next level. We did the KWVA stuff, but now we're doing the Oregon Sports Network stuff. Happy to be here with you. I mean, it's actually really fun to get to be with you in this studio, not the KWVA studio. Obviously, we have the video stream for this, so we get to both look good on camera together at the same time.
We both get to look on camera together.
Yeah. At least on YouTube and Facebook.
We're looking. Knight is the voice of Oregon softball. He was down in Clearwater, Florida over the weekend for the opening weekend tournament for Oregon softball. Ducks went 4-2 over the weekend, and just general reactions after the weekend from what you saw from your vantage point behind home plate. What did you see from the Ducks in totality over this weekend?
I mean, I saw that this team is really, really good. I mean, if you think about the team last year, they made it to a super regional, and going into this season, they're bringing back a lot of key pieces. Yes, Allie Bunker has graduated. Tara McGowan, she's graduated, but she's still around the program, still making an impact. But this is a team that's very experienced. For the first game of the season, they started 3 seniors. I believe it was 3 super seniors and then 4 juniors. So total of 10 total upperclassmen getting the start in game number 1. We saw that throughout the weekend. We saw the depth of this team. They're really loaded top to bottom, and I think the big thing that stood out was the pitching depth, especially the young pitcher, Taylor Spencer. She came in, and she provided some great innings, and everybody pitched for Oregon. They had 5 pitchers. All of them pitched, and they all had success, and I think that was the big storyline with Spencer and then just overall the pitching staff and their depth.
I want to break a lot of that down, but first we'll start with the freshman Taylor Spencer. She came in, and how much were you expecting her to be utilized in this opening weekend? And then she came in, pitched 10 innings and gave up 1 earned run. She was phenomenal over the weekend. So what did you see from the freshman when she got into the game and actually ended up throwing in the circle?
Yeah, you know, I saw a lot of energy from her. I mean, she had a strikeout with 2 outs, and she was jumping up and down, pointing towards her catcher, fired up, and she just brings a little bit more energy to this team. It seems like Oregon never really had a pitcher kind of like that. Yes, Stevie Hansen strikes out a lot of batters, but she's a little bit more reserved. Spencer, she's a spark plug. Like, she's going to get an out, and she's going to be fired up about it, and I think the team feeds off her energy. I honestly didn't expect her to throw that much. I mean, she fell outside of the top 100 prospects entering this season, a little bit lower of a recruit compared to the other freshmen in the recruiting class. That was a top 15 class in the country, and so I didn't know how much I was going to see out of Taylor Spencer, especially with Stevie Hansen, Morgan Scott, Reagan Breedlove all coming back, with Lisa Kolsky working her way back from the injury that she sustained last season, and so I didn't know how much Spencer was going to play, and she really stood out. She was the best pitcher all weekend, and I'm really excited to see where her career goes. Coach Lombardi talked to me a little bit about it after the whole weekend, and she said, you know, she's been further along than any freshman pitcher I've coached, and I think we really saw that this weekend.
And you mentioned Elise Sokolsky, and it's not a new member of this Oregon squad, but Elise Sokolsky, someone that hadn't pitched in about a year, now back in the circle. How did she do in her first few innings back?
Yeah, I mean, she did really good. I mean, she went up against a Missouri State team, and, you know, there was actually a couple of players from Missouri State that she had played against in high school, a little bit of a rivalry right there. But she looked good. She got some strikeouts. She looked very comfortable back out there, and she pitched the entirety of the game. And so I think it was good for her to get back out there. It was obviously a 8-0 victory for the Ducks, and so I think it was good to have the Ducks utilize her in a game like that where she doesn't have to have too much high-pressure situations, but 5 innings from Sokolsky, and she looked really good. And I think that's got to be a good feeling, especially getting a couple of strikeouts.
And this pitching staff, I called Oregon softball the 2 years prior to you. Oregon hasn't had, in recent memory, from my knowledge, 5 consistent pitchers that they can throw out at any given time in the Melissa Lombardi era. Now you got Taylor Spencer, Elise Sokolsky, and then the 3 that were leading the way through the end of last season with Stevie Hansen, Morgan Scott, and Reagan Breedlove. That is a formidable rotation.
It really is, and Stevie Hansen's obviously going to get a lot of the action coming into the season. She was the ace, and she started game number 1, and obviously against Indiana, it didn't necessarily go her way to start this season. But this is an experienced pitching staff, and I think that the big thing is that everybody's healthy going into this season. And I think that Coach Lombardi, when you look at the top 5 pitchers, she really has a pitcher for every single situation. And I think that having a lot of pitchers come back, it feels like each year it's a new pitcher. 2 years ago, Stevie Hansen was that young freshman, but she was thrust into that role really early on in her career. And then last year you add in Morgan Scott, and so that's a new addition to the pitching staff. This year, everybody comes back, and so they had a whole offseason to work together. That was really huge. And when you have the experience in Morgan Scott, Stevie Hansen, and Reagan Breedlove, all those pitchers can go in and do their job, and then it allows for a person like Taylor Spencer to come in and just kind of do her thing. And she shined because of that. I think that having Spencer come in later in the game, she came in against Clemson, closed it out for that final inning against the Clemson Tigers, who are the 5th-ranked team in the country. And so I think it takes a little bit of extra stress off of a pitcher like Spencer, who's a young freshman. She's not getting thrust into that number 1 role, kind of like Stevie Hansen did a few years ago. So it's really nice because each pitcher can just go in there and do their thing in certain moments. And if they're off their game, then guess what? There's another option out there for Oregon.
You mentioned earlier the losses of Tara McGowan, Allie Bunker, but in the heart of the order now, it's Ariel Carlson, and she had one heck of a start to the season.
I mean, how great was she?
2 home runs over the weekend, 3 doubles,
all
tied an Oregon record
yeah.
against Army, all in one game, and 10 runs batted in over the weekend. She was phenomenal. How was it like watching her live in person there?
I mean, it was so great to watch her live in person. I think the funniest story coming off that 2-home run effort against Liberty was she hit the first home run, and Amy Sinicola, who is doing the video for Oregon for Go Ducks, and she was out there that whole weekend. Well, she was taking photos during the first home run, and so right before Ariel went out there for the 5th inning, she goes, "Hey, Ariel, I missed it the first time. I was taking photos. Like, can you hit another one?" And she goes up there and hits a home run right after that. So that's how she got the second home run. Maybe a little bit of extra motivation from Amy right there. Nonetheless, I mean, you think about Ariel Carlson, and she's always had a good bat, especially these past 2 seasons in a Duck uniform. But it seems like that bat got really hot at the end of the season. She kind of had a slower start at the beginning of the year. This year, she came out firing, and to have 10 RBIs in just the first 6 games of the season is ridiculous. 3 doubles all in one game. She had 2 doubles in 1 inning against Army in that closer of the whole weekend. And so I think it's really great to see her off to a great start for her senior year. I also think it was awesome just to see her in that 3 spot, and then you had Alyssa Daniel in the 4 spot. You have 2 Oregonians in the meat of the order. So I think that's a really cool storyline as well.
Amy, thanks for that one.
Yeah, thank you.
Appreciate it. Amy does great work with our creative team. And you mentioned Alyssa Daniel, the 2 Oregonians in the heart of the order. It was not a bad weekend for Alyssa Daniel either. She had 5 hits, 4 of them for extra bases, and she had a homer, a triple, and 2 doubles, but I almost want to count it as 2 triples. She would have gotten another one if there just wasn't another person on base in front of her.
Yeah.
She had some pop, especially early in the weekend from the left-hand side of the plate.
No, she definitely did, and I mean, she came out firing, had the first home run of the season in the first game against Indiana, had that triple as well. So I think that was a good start for her. The other thing that kind of goes a little bit unnoticed was her single. You mentioned the extra base hits, but she got a single to get aboard against Clemson, and then they pinch ran Ayanna Shaw in that situation. Shaw was able to steal second and third and come in on a sac fly, and that gave Oregon a 2-1 lead. So it was just a lot of key moments where she came up to the plate, she was clutch, and she was able to get on base safely, and to have a little bit of pop in that middle of the order is huge. And I think that that's the thing about this team is, yes, Allie Bunker's gone, but they've replaced her and in the order with really solid players, and having Alyssa Daniel out there at first base and kind of playing right in the middle of the field. Last year, it was like, do you put her at DP? Do you put her in the outfield? This year, to have her at first base is a really good spot for her defensively, and to have her bat in the middle of the order is huge for Oregon.
Yeah, and last year she was telling me that first base, that's her position. And now with Allie Bunker gone, you're able to shift KK Humphreys over to second, play Alyssa Daniel in a natural position. And Alyssa Daniel, it was Ariel Carlson's 10 RBI, but Alyssa Daniel also drove in some runs, and it's because of the top of the order. How about Kai Lushar? She is picking up right where she left off. Over the weekend, 11 for 20. Yeah, 11 hits and 20 at-bats with 6 stolen bases. That changes the complete complexion of an entire game.
Oh, it absolutely does. And, I mean, the stolen bases are huge. She had 14 a year ago. To have 6 right now is just incredible for her. And, I mean, she's just able to get aboard any way possible. A lot of it is just infield singles with her speed. She's able to leg it out, and she's a slap hitter. And, you know, she just finds a way to get the bat on the ball, make some contact, and get to first safely, and she's able to use her speed to put herself in scoring position, and that's going to be huge. Oregon didn't necessarily have the best weekend hitting with runners in scoring position, but you think about how further on in the season, if you have the stolen bases, if you have runners in scoring position, they're going to get hits eventually, and I think that's going to be huge. To at least have somebody batting over 500 at the top of the order, that's huge. And then her sister, Kedri, she also hit 500 on the weekend. She had a 3-hit performance also at the end of the series against Army, so I think the pair of them did a really good job, and it kind of takes a little bit of stress off of someone like Hannah Delgado. Delgado got the break against Army, and then you can plug in the other Lushar and, you know, have some speed on the base paths, have some good defense in the outfield, and, you know, pick up where you left off.
Some of the newcomers for this team, whether it's freshmen, whether it's transfers, pick a newcomer that we haven't touched on yet. Who stood out for you over the weekend that's new to this Oregon team?
Yeah, I think the big one obviously is Taylor Spencer, but other than her, I think the other one, there'd be 2. Emma Kauf, the new catcher, she's been splitting the catching duties with Valerie Wong, and Wong actually started more games behind the plate catching, but Kauf's been a really good bat at the top of the order. She's been able to get on base. She didn't necessarily have as many hits as some of the other players, but she was able to walk a few times and get herself aboard. She had some clutch hits throughout the weekend, and I think that her bat is only going to get better. Defensively, she also had a couple of pickoffs, which was really good to see when she was actually behind the plate catching. She's a little bit lighter of a catcher than Tara McGowan, but she still has a really, really strong arm, and I think that she makes up with it even offensively. She has a little bit of power, not as same pop as McGowan, but she has some speed. Like, this team is really, really fast, and to have a batter like Kauf in the 2 spot, kind of get aboard right after Lushar, and all of a sudden you have 2 runners on the base paths that are really, really fast, and a ball into the outfield could score 2 runs. So I think that she stood out. And the other one, Ayanna Shaw. Shaw isn't playing in the field right now. She's still working her way back from a little bit of a surgery, but she was able to run the bases, and she did great. I mean, she had the 2 stolen bases I mentioned against Clemson. She had a couple of pinch running performances throughout the year, and Coach Lombardi's really high on Shaw. She said that Ayanna Shaw is going to be a really, really good player. Once she's fully back and healthy, she's going to be contending for an outfield spot. She wouldn't be surprised if she got some starts later on this season.
The headliner of the weekend, the top 15 matchup between Oregon and Clemson on MLB Network. Heck of a game. Oregon ends up dropping it, but that was really a super regional type feel, a Women's College World Series type feel of a game, didn't it?
Oh my gosh, it was incredible. And, I mean, Clemson has the best softball player in the country. Like, Valerie Cagle is legit, and Oregon did a great job shutting her down. Morgan Scott struck her out twice. Cagle just came in and just did a really good job pitching, and, you know, that's what happens. I mean, she has a career 1.59 ERA, I think, and she hits over 400 in her career, which is just ridiculous. I mean, she is the two-way player. Like, that is the Shohei Ohtani of collegiate softball right now. And, you know, Oregon did a good job going up against this Clemson team. And I think that even though Oregon lost, it felt like they didn't necessarily play their best game, but Clemson gave it all. And I think that after that Clemson game, the motive and the message around the team was, yeah, they gave us their all, but we didn't play our best game. And if we played them again tomorrow, we would win that game against Clemson. I think that's the right mindset to have. I think this team got a lot of experience just playing against a caliber team like Clemson. And I think that this is a team that feels pretty good about the position they're at, even though they lost to that top 15 battle.
Continuing to build throughout non-conference play, Oregon softball up again this weekend, coming up Friday 10 a.m. against Texas A&M. You will be down in San Diego for the entire series.
Yeah, I will. You know, you got 2 games on Friday, 2 on Saturday, and then 1 on Sunday. Exciting. They get to play Texas A&M twice and LMU twice, and that 1 game against San Diego State. So really fun weekend. They get to travel on the West Coast, a little less travel. That travel day yesterday was kind of a lot. I mean, they were up at 5:15 in the morning Eastern time, had to get to the ballpark, play Army, finish that game, get to the airport, take their classes, and then you have to catch 2 flights. And so that flight from San Diego to Eugene, a little bit easier to deal with. And so I think they're excited to play some games on the West Coast and have some great weather again. It's going to be gorgeous in San Diego.
It should be a phenomenal weekend. 2 doubleheaders, so to speak, over the weekend. Oregon plays A&M and LMU twice, and then also plays San Diego State over the weekend. And night before I let you go, I'm going to put you on the spot here. There's been some talk about a special talent.
Oh my gosh!
And that you can. There's a certain fight song that you can do in bird call form?
Yeah, see, I can do it in the bird call. I don't know how well this is going to translate to like the microphone, but I'm going to give it my best shot. So I know how to do like the bird call thing on my hand, but I'm also able to do some songs. So let's try to do the Mighty Oregon fight song. Let's go.
There you go.
Yeah,
that's pretty good.
See, I don't know if that translated on the mic as well.
I think it sounded good.
It's not bad, not bad.
Special talent, Knight Uretsky.
See, I don't know if the Oregon Marching Band is looking for somebody that plays the bird call, but I'm your guy. I can do it.
Is there anything else bird call or softball related that fans should know before letting you go?
Just listen to us. We're going to be down in San Diego. You can find it on KWVA Eugene 88.1. You can also find it online on our website. So be sure to put on the hometown call. You can sync it up with the video stream, and happy to provide you coverage on the road. Excited for that.
That's Knight Uretsky, fresh from Florida, about to go down to San Diego, breaking down all things softball. Knight, thanks for hanging out.
Thanks, buddy.
We're going to come back next with season opening weekends from lacrosse, men's golf, acrobatics and tumbling, and maybe even some Oregon track and field and the indoor scene over the weekend. Back after this on Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by our local branch today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
At Shadow Hills Country Club, we're more than just an award-winning golf course and practice facility. Our events team offers all-inclusive event pricing that allows us to take care of all the details while you enjoy your event. Our indoor and outdoor venues offer you a wide variety of fully staffed options that put the focus on you. From weddings to business and social events, at Shadow Hills Country Club Events Center, you get the benefits of a resort atmosphere and amenities in a peaceful country setting, just minutes from downtown Eugene. Call for a tour today or visit shadowhillsevents.com.
Duck Insider continues after this timeout on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Put your phone on D&D, that means that do not disturb when you're driving. And when you're going from point A to B, I need you to stay safe, please, so always sing with me. So put your phone on D&D, that means that do not disturb when you're driving. And when you're going from point A to B, I need you to stay safe, please, so always remember this beat.
Don't drive distracted. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
Don't you wish your life came with a warning app?
Stop. That dog does not want to be petted.
A heads up before something bad happens.
You should not send that text.
Uh-oh. Life doesn't always give you time to change the outcome, but prediabetes does. With early diagnosis and a few healthy changes, you can reverse prediabetes and prevent or delay type 2 diabetes. To learn your risk, take the 1-minute test today at doihaveprediabetes.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and its prediabetes awareness partners.
Welcome back inside the Country Financial Studio here on Duck Insider, brought to you by OnPoint Community Credit Union. Big thanks to Knight Uretsky, just coming back from Florida, giving us some Oregon softball breakdown as well as a beautiful rendition of the fight song. Already talked about Oregon men's basketball and women's basketball from the Ducks weekend at home on the men's side and the weekend on the road on the women's side. And now it's time for your Cafe Yum 2-minute drill, serving fresh food fast with organic ingredients. Enjoy a famous Yum Bowl at 23 Cafe Yum restaurants throughout the Northwest, home of the Ducks. Yeah. Oregon softball got started. The Oregon softball team, one of 4 Duck teams that opened up their season over the weekend. It first started with Oregon lacrosse and Jess Drummond, the second era of Jess Drummond for Oregon women's lacrosse, and it was a 19-8 win over Youngstown State, the first win as a head coach for Coach Drummond. Congratulations to Coach on securing the victory. Oregon in this game had 3 different players with a hat trick and 6 different players score at least twice in this ball game. So a great performance to kick off the season over at Pape Field for Oregon lacrosse. On the men's golf side of things, the golf team was kicking off their season in their first intercollegiate invitational at the Amrari Intercollegiate in Hawaii, and it was the Ducks who finished in 14th place, led by Nate Stember, who shot under 70 in all 3 of his rounds over the weekend. The Ducks shot 33 under as a team as Oregon finished 14th place in their opening tournament of the season to get things started on the men's golf side of things. For Oregon acrobatics and tumbling, it was a tremendous comeback victory for Oregon at Matheson Arena. This happened just after the men's game, about 4 or 5 hours after the men's game concluded. Oregon got into action against Hawaii Pacific, and the Ducks were down early and down through a majority of this meet. It came all the way down to the team event, and the Ducks were down by a little bit over a point going into the team event, but the Ducks put on what was a tremendous team event and were able to get the win over Hawaii Pacific, 2 top 10 teams in the acrobatics and tumbling rankings. And I have to issue a formal apology to Taylor Susnara. I had never been to an Oregon acrobatics and tumbling event. I'd never been to an acrobatics and tumbling event. That's on me. My first time there was at Matheson Arena on Saturday, and I can guarantee it won't be my last. It was one of the most electric sporting atmospheres I think I have ever been to. So a phenomenal event put on by Oregon, an even better comeback by the team. Great job to Taylor Susnara and company for Oregon acrobatics and tumbling to secure the opening victory there. For Oregon track and field, it was a little bit of a split squad. Some of the team went over to Boston. The distance crew ran in Boston, and some of the rest of the team were in New Mexico. And the Ducks ended up with 6 winners over the weekend on the indoor side of things. So there was a whole bunch going on in Oregon athletics over the weekend, and a whole bunch of Ducks wins over the weekend. So a pretty good week for everybody. And I'm not sure if everyone remembers, but Joey's on the show tomorrow, and there's something about push-ups. Okay, see you then.
Uh-oh, Brad's buzzed. Oh, yeah? Yeah, he's starting with the woots. And now a speech.
I just want to say that friendship is about heart and brain. Who's with me?
Good thing is, he knows when he's buzzed.
And my brain is saying, when it's time to go home, somebody call me a ride.
Love that guy.
Me too. Know your buzzed warning signs? Call for a ride when it's time to go home. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Hey, so what's a great way to spread awareness that driving high is illegal everywhere? A catchy song, of course.
You can run, but you can't drive high. You can